All right, guys, let's go on. 5 unconventional reasons why you're not getting leaner. And the reason why I made this an unconventional edition is because there's a lot of key factors that are still going over a lot of people's heads, and it's messing up your body composition. This is getting in the way of you getting that physique that you want. You know, you've been going to the gym, you've been getting stronger, but you still have a lot of body fat to lose. But when you go online, you type in, how do I get a flat stomach? How do I get a six pack? A lot of influencers and coaches will tell you the same thing. Get in a calorie deficit, which is 100% true. But what some of them are missing out on is that sometimes our lives are a bit more complex than that. A lot of us have lives that are like tangled up headphones, and sometimes there's a lot of untangling to do because we have, lifestyles outside the gym. Some people have families, some people are working 60 to 80-hour weeks, which doesn't make it an excuse, but there's still some factors to take into the account nonetheless, because on paper, a lot of these programs look great. All the macros are nicely laid out. You may have a training plan that says 6 days a week, and these plans look amazing. But this doesn't mean you're following that plan, because in theory, it looks good, but sometimes life gets in the way, and this is what this video is all about. It's all about sometimes being a little bit more empathetic and understanding people's situation, as opposed to just saying, what do you mean you're not getting leaner? Eat less, eat less. Sometimes that's not the approach you got to take. Sometimes you have to understand where people are coming from, and then, you build some confidence from there, get some wins under their belt. And from there, the snowball effect will unfold. Okay, so as far as getting leaner, the reason why I said leaner and not lean is because a lot of people want to get leaner, but they don't necessarily want to get super lean. They just want to be leaner than they are right now. And if you've been lifting weights for a long time, getting stronger, hitting PRs, especially in the summertime, it's a really nice opportunity to showcase your hard work. You go to the beach, you go to the pool, and you don't want to be wearing, layers of clothes like you are in the winter to keep you warm, because it just doesn't make sense. In Canada, it gets really cold, and that's personally when I like to up my body fat, because it just keeps me warmer at night. But in the summertime, I don't need that extra body fat. If anything, it's just weighing me down, and I want to showcase more of my hard work, and it'd be beneficial for some of you guys too. The extra body fat does not need to be there, throughout the whole year, but you can still use it as a tool nonetheless. So the first unconventional reason why you're not getting leaner is because it bothers you, but not enough to make a change. I know it's not the type of answer you guys want to hear, but hear me out. Some of you guys, as far as body composition is concerned, it might be ranked number 11 on your priority scale. And if anything is ranked number 11, it's just not urgent enough. A good example of this would be a couple years ago, and I was walking on the street and I bumped into one of my old training partners, and then we're just talking in his car, and he says, hey, by any chance, are you driving right now? And I told him, nah, I don't even have a car. And he told me something I would never forget. He said, if it's really important, you would have had it by now. And that always stuck with me, because that applies to so many different things. And the reality was, at that time, it was not super important. I know that, a car is beneficial. It could get you from point A to point B faster. But during that time, I was walking to the gym, and when it was a bit more urgent, I would bike to the gym. And that's basically how I was getting around. I was using, public transportation, and I didn't have a car. And I had a lot of friends who had cars. So I'm like, you know what, man, like the times where, I'm going a bit further, I'm getting a lift anyways. So it's not the end of the world. So it wasn't that urgent for me. I wanted a car, but it might have been number, 12 on my urgency scale. I had other bigger priorities at the time. So it applies with other factors of life as well. Sometimes we put stuff on the back burner. Sometimes we look at, the fat we're carrying. We look down, we'll jiggle, the stomach fat. And some people will be like, you know what? I have some fat on my stomach, but it's okay, because I'm just gonna wear this black t-shirt. I'm gonna make it extra baggy, and boom, problems are gone. But that's not how life works, because if the fat is really bothering you, that's not how you get to the root cause of the problem. But some people, when it's not urgent enough, they just kind of want it to fall in their lap. If I were to show some people their dream physique, they'd be like, oh, wow, wicked, I want that. However, it doesn't go any further than that, because they're not going to put in the work. Or if you snap your fingers and you give them, their dream physique, they might appreciate it to a certain extent, but they're not going to appreciate it as much as the person who actually worked for it. And the lessons you're going to get along the way are going to be way more rewarding than if it just fell in your lap. So this is why the solution to this is to start reevaluating your goals. Start understanding, your psychological profile, and what do you really want? Do you And most importantly, what kind of physique do you want? Because some people don't even want a super crazy physique, and there's nothing absolutely necessarily wrong with that. If you just want an above average physique, you could get it, but just understand there's still gonna be a certain amount of work to get there and a certain amount of time. So secondly, your why is not strong enough. You have some people go on social media and they'll go on pages of people who are fit and they'll see all the engagement, the likes, the shares, and they'll say, I want that because I want that engagement. Or some other guys will say, I saw this guy's fitness transformation. He used to be overweight. Now he's leaner. And look at the female attention he's getting. So I want that because I want the female attention. But to me, these are sloppy foundations, because if you genuinely don't like exercising at all and you don't like, the healthy lifestyle and eating well and everything that encompasses it, what makes you think that's going to be sustainable? I know for myself, I genuinely like training. I actually like exercising. To me, going to the gym is like brushing my teeth. I just get up and I go to the gym and I don't even overthink it. I blink once, next thing you know, I'm doing my next set. And that's because I have a genuine desire for it. And I actually like the way it makes my body feel. I like the pumps. I just like everything that goes into a lifestyle. But there's some people, I feel like if social media didn't exist, a lot of people wouldn't even be training. I feel like some people don't genuinely like the iron. They don't genuinely like the exercise. They're just doing it because they want a certain result. And these are certain people who just end up quitting, after a couple of weeks, because they're not doing it through, concrete foundations. They're doing it because they're chasing certain validations. So, that's my advice to you guys. Start asking yourself the question, do I really like lifting weights? And you don't have to lift weights either. You could do, calisthenics in the park. You could do mountain climbing, rock climbing, whatever the case is. You could do other activities. You could play team sports and you could still have, a fit body. And then you combine that with foods that you like, with your culture, whatever the case is, and you can still make it work for you. But at least with that approach, it's going to be more sustainable as far as, taking somebody else and just throwing them into a gym and telling them to lift weights when they don't really want to do it. Third unconventional reason why you're not getting leaner is because you lack kitchen structure. A lot of lifters will yell through the rooftops. They go to the gym 5 days a week. Congratulations. But if you're on the heavier side and you're trying to lean down, you absolutely need kitchen structure. This is not me saying that everybody who's jacked and lean, has a super organized kitchen, because obviously there's some people who have a sharp understanding of what's going on and they can still break some of the rules, whatever. However, why make your life more complicated? If you have an organized kitchen and things are where they need to be, and you have a meal prep that doesn't take you, 4 hours because you know where everything is, and you might have, for example, a dishwasher, you might have a certain system that works for you so you could get the meals in and out. Think of it like a meal prep factory. You got to pump out the meals. Unless if somebody's making the meals for you, or unless if you're buying the meals. I know there's certain meal packs that, you get like 15 at a time, whatever. But if you're making these meals yourself, you need to find a system, or else you're going to have a lot of trouble, because it's going to take you a lot of time and you're going to have a lot of dishes to do too. And some of these dishwashers aren't big enough to only fit in like tons of Tupperware. So you might have to do some cleaning yourself. I know for myself, I don't even put my Tupperwares in my dishwasher. I just do them by hand, and I've seen it with a lot of other lifters as well. And the way you prevent having like an overwhelming amount of dishes is you just do a little bit every day. While some food's in the microwave, while some food's cooking, you just do the dishes, and you find a way, you find a structure that works for you. You notice it makes your life so much easier. If you feel overwhelmed every time you walk into the kitchen, what you could try doing is having a big cleanup. Start giving away certain foods. Some foods you probably don't even need. How far has it really gotten you? All those cakes that you have on a regular basis, like you could still have some of them, but at the same time, if you feel bad every time you eat a cake, you could also just give away some of the junk food you have. Give it to the homeless, give it to, a friend, give it to a family member, whatever the case is. Just get it out of your house. Maybe keep a little bit if you need to. However, some people, if they have too much junk food in their kitchen, they're just gonna end up eating it all. I know for myself, if somebody gives me like, pecan pie, all my old subscribers, they already know how much I like pecan pie. I can't really look at that pecan pie for too long before it's eaten. So I'm most likely just gonna eat the whole thing. So what I do is I'll buy smaller portions if I ever do have pecan pie, but I don't eat as much of it as I used to. And I just control the hunger, I control my portions, and I try not to put myself in a position, like if I'm going to the grocery store, I'm gonna try to eat before so I'm not too hungry. But anyways, you find all these ways to make the process much easier. For example, meal prep Sundays. cook the meals on the Sunday and you're set up for the week. Throughout the week, you do your dishes, whatever the case is, find a way to make the lifestyle work for you as opposed to the other way around. Fourthly, we got holidays, birthdays, and special events. This is an aspect of body composition that I feel like not enough people talk about, because just for the example of the holidays, if you were to gain 5 pounds over the holidays for 10 years, that's already 50 pounds. And we're just talking about, Christmas and New Year's and maybe a couple of birthdays here and there. But what about the rest of the year? What about if you're a very social individual and you have a lot of friends and you're very close to your family? You're most likely going to be getting invited to something almost every week out the year. And every week, that's just a new opportunity for you to, binge on more food. And that's not to say you have to turn these things down, because if you want to be a social person, you still want to go to these things, but you don't have to go to every single event you're invited to. That's first off. Secondly, if there's an event that you actually want to go to, but there's going to be, a lot of junk food, you could try, eating before. So you're preloading it, so you're not going to be as hungry when you go to the event. Or you could even go to the event and you could keep it more on like a protein-based dish. So you eat more protein, you just take it more easy on the carbs. Another thing you could do is you could program it, you could plug it as a cheat meal. So for example, you eat clean the whole week, and then that Saturday night, you're going to cheat a little bit because, it's part of the program. So there's tons of things. You could even start being more talkative at the table, so that way you're eating less, and just take your time between bites. Don't be in such a rush, As far as alcohol is concerned, you could choose certain alcohols that have less calories. You could drink more water between shots. There's tons of strategies. There's tons of people of, jacked and lean lifters who go out on a regular basis, who are, very social and extroverted, who still have great physiques, and some of them are even on the older side too. So it can definitely be done, but it has to be approached with the right education. If you weigh your foods on a regular basis, eventually you're going to be able to weigh it with your eyes to a certain extent, because you just know what's on the plate. It's 50 grams of protein here, probably 100 grams of carbs there, and you're going to be able to navigate through it that much easier. Lastly, we got going to sleep too late. I know what you're thinking. What does this have to do with getting leaner? It actually has a lot to do in several cases. Firstly being that if you go to sleep very late, you're most likely going to skip breakfast the next morning. If you skip breakfast, what's going to happen is you're going to be hungrier later on. If you eat breakfast, what it does is it front loads your day. So you're going to be less hungry later on because you would have eaten already. But if you don't have breakfast, you're going to have the food much later. And what ends up happening is you're going to binge later on in the night. Nobody's binging at 6 a.m. for donuts. Most people are eating these things at nighttime where they're not moving, they're not active, they're sitting at a computer, or they're just sleeping. So the food's basically just going to stay there. You're not really burning it. So what you want to do instead is go to bed earlier, and you're going to binge less. If for whatever reason you have to be up later and you have a sweet tooth you want to eat, no problem. You could have different flavors of Greek yogurt and you put specific fruits in it. If you have, for example, like some strawberries and blueberries, some Greek yogurt, it's going to satisfy that sweet tooth. It's going to give you tons of protein, which is good for the muscle building process. And it's most likely going to satiate you, and it's easy to digest before bed. This is what I do personally before bed every single night. Have my Greek yogurt. A salad could work too, but I'm personally really a Greek yogurt guy. Low-fat cottage cheese works very well too. And that's personally what I do, and that's what I prescribe to a lot of clients. But as far as if you're training in the morning and you go to sleep late at night, you're going to have a sluggish workout because you're not properly recovered. So there's tons of reasons, but overall, if you could just go to bed, 1 or 2 hours before, you're going to be way more recuperated. You're going to have, a nice breakfast. If you train in the morning, your session's going to go through the roof. And that's pretty much it, man. So I don't want to overcomplicate it for this video. Those are a couple unconventional reasons why you're not getting leaner. Let me know down below if there's anything that I missed, and let me know if there's anything that you've learned from this video as well. And with that being said, see you guys next time.